Hi everyone. So in this video, we're going to work through a Year 12 trig identities question. And this question is question 9 from the AS sample paper. So the question says solve for x between 360 degrees to 540 degrees, the equation 12 sine squared x plus 7 cos x minus 13 equal to 0. And we have to give our answers to one decimal place. But just before we get into the video, I want to make you all aware about a web app that I have created. Now, this app that you see on the screen here is designed to predict the 2027 Edexcel A-level Maths topics that will come up in your 2027 exams. So now that the 2026 exams have finished, we now have access to those questions. So what I've done is I've analysed all of the questions from 2026 back to 2018, and also including the sample and the specimen Edexcel papers. And I've used that data to put together a model which will predict the topics for the 2027 exams. And if we just scroll down here, you will see how accurate this model that I'm using is. So if you do want to have access to the full predictions for the 2027 exams, and also have access to a web app which will generate mock exam papers based on these predictions, that is what you can get if you do sign up to this app. Just go to the link in the description of this video, and also you can get the link to this web app in my bio. Click that link, sign up. You can see on the top right of the page here, you can sign up to the app, and you'll be able to access all of these 2027 predictions. Okay, so in this equation, you will notice that we have two different trig functions, a sine function and a cos function. Now, when we're solving trig equations, we really want to have one trig function in the equation, because then it becomes easy to use either sine inverse or cos inverse, tan inverse to then go ahead and solve the equation. The problem with this one is we have two different trig functions. So we need to think of a way to eliminate one of these trig functions, either the sine squared or the cos. Now, if you know your year 12 trig identities, you will know the equation sine squared plus cos squared equals 1, or the identity sine squared plus cos squared equals 1. So if we use that identity, we would then be able to eliminate the sine squared, convert it into an equation where we just have coses everywhere, and then it becomes easier to solve. So that is what we'll do with this question. We will use that identity, sine squared plus cos squared equals 1, and then create an equation with just cos squared everywhere. So use identity sine squared x plus cos squared x equal to 1. So that, of course, means that sine squared x is equal to 1 minus cos squared x. So if we just sub this into the equation, we have 12 multiplied by 1 minus cos squared x plus 7 cos x minus 13 is 0. We just expand up the brackets here. 12 minus 12 cos squared x plus 7 cos x minus 13 is equal to 0. So this will give us minus 12 cos squared x plus 7 cos x minus 1 equal to 0. And what I'll just do, I'll just move over everything to the other side of the equation, just to make the coefficient of the cos squared positive. So this becomes 0 is equal to 12 cos squared x minus 7 cos x plus 1. Now, hopefully you will notice that this is a quadratic in disguise. So what we could do is we could let y equal cos x, and then this clearly becomes a quadratic. 0 is equal to 12y squared minus 7y plus 1. Now, we can try and solve this quadratic. So what I'll try and do is factorize it. If we just scroll up to the question, you'll see here that they say in brackets, solutions based entirely on graphical or numerical methods are not acceptable. There is no mention in this question that we must not use calculated technology. You will see in some Edexcel questions, they say that you must not use calculated technology to solve the question, in which case you would have to factorize or complete the square or use the quadratic formula to solve the quadratic. In this question, they don't mention that. So you could just use your scientific graphical calculator to get the solutions of this quadratic on the equation solver mode. I will just try and factorize it here so you can see how this factorizes. So we could put a 4y there. We could put a 3y there. We're trying to make a 7y in the middle. So if we put a -1 there and a -1 there, then this factorizes nicely because this gives us a -3y, this gives us a -4y, which creates the -7y in the middle. But again, you could use your calculator with this specific question, but just be aware, some questions do say you must not use calculating technology in the working of your question. Just another quick interjection. If you are currently doing Edexcel A-level Maths and you feel that you're struggling or you're falling behind and you're not quite getting that grade that you need to get in order to get into university, or perhaps you're a parent watching this and you're worried about your child's progress, what you can do is you can head to my website. Now, my website is in my bio and also in the description of this video. Click onto the link and you can watch a brief video about me and my background. You see this video on the screen here. In this video, I outline the style and the structure of my tuition. You can also read some of my reviews and testimonials from other parents and students who have worked with me on this website too. So if you feel like one-to-one tuition is something that would benefit you in order to get the grades that you need to get, then again, just head to this website. And what you can do is you can book a free 90-minute call with me. And in that call, we'll spend some time discussing you, your situation, your ambitions, what you want to achieve, the grade you want to get, and why you feel like you're struggling and why you feel like maybe tuition is the right path for you. And we'll also spend some time basically doing a free trial lesson where I will help you out for free with any particular topics or any particular areas of the syllabus that you know you need help with. And by the end of the call, we can then discuss whether one-to-one tuition is the right path for you to get you that grade you need to get. So once again, the link to my website is in the bio and in the description of this video. So therefore, this clearly means that y is equal to 1/4 or y is equal to 1/3, just by setting both factors equal to 0 and rearranging. Hopefully that makes sense. So this means that cos x is equal to 1/4 or cos x is equal to 1/3. Perfect. I'll just call this equation 1. I'll call that equation 2. So using the first equation, if we do cos inverse of 1/4, so I just go to the calculator and work this out. Cos inverse of 1/4 is 75.5. And just remember, the question did want solutions to one decimal place. So I will give these answers to one decimal place. Now, we know the range of x values has to be between 360 and 540. So that value that we just worked out, this 75.5, is not going to be valid. Let's draw a cosine wave and let's see where our solutions could or will lie. So a cosine wave between 0 to 360 looks something like that, but we want to go up to 540, so that's an extra 180 degrees. So that's where the wave will stop. So that's 540 there. This is 360 there. That would be 180 there. So we've got this y value of 1/4. So let's just put 1/4 there. The calculator's given us this value of 75.5, but that is not an acceptable solution. If we just go across here to the next potential solution, you will see that this number is less than 360. Sorry, let me just make that look like a 0 there. That's really annoying me how that's not a 0. There we go. That value is less than 360. That's not acceptable. But this next potential solution is valid because that's bigger than 360 but less than 540. So this value is going to be 75.5 plus 360, because remember, the period for a sine wave or a cos wave is 360. So this value there is 75.5 plus 360. Perfect. And if we just work this out on the calculator, 75.5 plus 360 is 435.5. So that's one potential solution. Now let's consider the second equation. So the second equation, cos x equals 1/3. So if we do cos inverse of 1/3, so cos inverse of 1/3, this on the calculator gives me 70.5 with this one, 70.5 degrees. So again, we'll do a similar kind of diagram, have a cos wave like this. It's a very bad one, but oh well. Let's put 1/3 on the y-axis there. The calculator's given us 70.5 degrees, but again, that's not acceptable. This next one here is also not acceptable as well because 360 degrees is there. We're going to need to go to the next one. And again, that finishes at 540. So we're going to add 360 because again, the period of a cos wave is 360. And that will get us the solution that we need there. So that gets us a value of 70.5 plus 360. And if we do this on the calculator, this value is 430.5. So therefore, we have two solutions to the question. The two solutions are x is equal to 430.5 or x is equal to 435.5. Perfect. So if you've got any questions with this calculation or this question, do drop a comment below, but hopefully everything we've gone through in this question does make sense.